I got to tell you guys, you might have seen this. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez holding a town hall meeting, and one of Ralph Nader's gets up. How long?
One of her supporters praising her.
Okay. How long did it take those people to realize they're being punked? Right?
Well,
because that narrative is so real now.
Because the narrative is literally what they believe. If they had a problem, look, Democrats are the group on earth with the with least scruples about standing up and yelling at you if they disagree with you. The least scruples at all.
And
so this lady goes on about how they should be eating babies and how Cortez is great and how her Green New Deal is great, but it doesn't do enough because we're going to be done. And no one said boo against this lady, suggesting unironically to eat babies, Jonathan Swift style. They were in on it in the sense that is literally what is being propelled. And I mean, if you don't see how quickly, how geometrically the Overton window is shifting left, how they're shifting. Oh, we should have carbon credits 10 years ago to we should ban meat in industrial society to eating babies. Because that is actually where we are right now. Thornburg.
Right. This is my issue. Is Cortez did not repudiate it.
Right. She did not rebuke this lady.
Go there because the left is always going to push the window further and further. There is no end.
Right.
Yeah.
It is always about going to undermine society.
Well, the end is destruction of humanity.
No,
progressivism is actually, it's inherently very anti-human.
If you'll remember, now this goes back to 2008 when McCain was in the fall campaign against Obama, and a guy gets up at a town hall and says, "Why, I can't vote for Obama, he's a Muslim." What did McCain do? He says, "Oh, no. He's a fine man," and he says, "I'm not going to allow that to be said about Obama."
Right.
Okay? Because what? On the conservative side, we know that our credibility depends upon us being reasonable. You know?
And the problem is no one cares about reasonability, as it turns out.
Well, the problem is that I had a problem with McCain. What McCain did is, what is McCain speaking for Obama for?
No, that's
that's the
that's
question.
a fair
I mean,
right.
Unless he knows something, he has the inside
Right.
scoop.
Yeah, what would be more reasonable for McCain to have done would be, I agree, is to say, well, I have no knowledge to that end, sir. I cannot say if he is or isn't, or I have no knowledge of what anyone's internal beliefs are in their heart of hearts.
Yeah, McCain went too far into being his apologist, and I agree with you on that. McCain really lost it there by not holding him to account. You always want to show the contrast between you and your opponent, not the 80% you agree on, it's the 20% you disagree on is why they should vote for you.
Well, but here's the thing, and it comes down to this reasonableness. I deal with this with the vaccine folks who want to get away from being anti-vax and not, being an anti-vaxxer. And I am just the opposite. I'm going to wear that. I'm 30 plus years without vaccinations and anti-vaccinations. And it's, I don't care what anybody else thinks about reasonableness.
Well,
because that's all arbitrary. Somebody else's idea of what's reasonable is I'm not going to chase them. The point is, where's the truth? Well, the truth is, this is what I have, and I have rights, and you don't have the right
and if
to
you
deny
read
me those.
Jonathan Haidt, I'd encourage everybody. He's a liberal to the left of Bernie Sanders, self-avowed. But what he found was these differences in personality between liberals, or leftists rather, and conservatives. And he did find that the big five personality traits, considerations, conservatives had them all. Leftists were stronger in some areas, but the areas that conservatives had that leftists essentially didn't have was empathy, being able to describe the other person's position reasonably as they would define in an empathetic way, sympathetic way, and a respect for reason and facts. Leftists really don't. I mean, at this point, it's obvious. It's become several memes in and of itself. They do not care that, for instance, the climate change narrative has changed infinite times over the past century or whatever.
I've got to clarify this, or let's elaborate a little more. I would be just as against a movement to force everybody to be anti-vax. It's about vaccine
sure.
choice and individual. I thought that's what you said, and I just wanted to
no,
elaborate that point. Yeah.
the real issue is this whole chasing this foolish view of moderation or reason.
We'll take half the shots.
It's some kind of virtue.
Well, the point is,
We'll kill half the Jews, Mr. Hitler.
The point is, it's
6
completely
million is 2
arbitrary,
million.
and it's different with every person.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're never going to take the stand that needs to be taken.
Right.
And what we need to do, and out there, think about yourself. What is it that you're willing to sacrifice for?
Yeah.
What are you willing to stand for? And
Don't ask people that.
And if it is if it is very little, and if you're willing to go along with all these tyrants who are actually after your blood and your children and on and on.
But how much do you need your blood of your children?
Okay, Deborah. So we got.
You're always pressing the point.
We got an issue that you're going to want to chime in on.
Now I
this.
want to just, before we get off this baby eating thing, I did see a graphic because I'm hungry. There's this CNN graphic I saw this last weekend where they posted, it might have been 20 or 30 names of Republicans who were silent on the Ukrainian issue. So they're trying to shame Republicans who, the Republicans are just clamming up. They're not commenting about the president of the Ukrainian thing. So they try to shame those tiny little names, 30 of them, of Republicans that are silent on the Ukrainian thing. Now, this lady suggested we eat babies. How many Democrats have been silent on the eating babies?
Yeah. I haven't heard a single one come out and talk about it.
Yeah.
Soylent Green
Thornburg's
is
Swedish, but if she were American, I assume she'd be a Democrat. She suggests that we should eat babies. And her childhood's been ruined. I wonder, how great is childhood in Sweden, though, as an aside? Because her childhood is being ruined, being flown around the world by some of the richest, most powerful people and being adorned. Her childhood must have been phenomenal in Sweden for this to be ruining her childhood.
You're standing there at the maternity ward in the hospital. It's like a buffet.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you deny me my Oompa Loompa?
Oh my gosh. Which one is yours? Is that delicious little Frankfurter right there? I'm hungry.
It's from Frank.